I got a sliver in my butt cheek. Alright, I should probably talk about something. Oh, mother of God. That traffic. Ever since I've moved, I have to remember that I have new ways that I have to get to my home because my home is in a different place, and those cars looked sad. If those were cars from Pixar, they would all have frowny faces. I'm driving a bike that's not mine. Well, you may have figured as much. My bike is no longer in existence. You will not see that red bike again. So, of course, I'm lucky enough to experience the generosity of fellow riders. Speaking of generosity of fellow riders, I got a nice little story. Something new happened. I locked myself out of my apartment, and I say that's new because that's never happened to me before. I'm not the kind of person to forget my keys, but something happened, and my keys were not in my hand or my pocket like they were supposed to be. I was on my way out to my car, and I went, well, I don't have keys. I can't get back in my room. I can't drive my car, and if I leave the apartment, I'll be locked outside the building. So, the best thing to do is sleep in the hallway. So I just sat down. I was already mentally prepared for the choice and the terrible first world problem I was about to endure. And then someone came walking up the hallway, and I thought it was Mark, the maintenance man. And I said, Mark, the maintenance man. He goes, who? I'm like, you're not him? He goes like, nah. And I said, okay, sorry, I thought you were him. And he said, did you lock your stuff out of your room? I was like, nah. And he said, hey, you can just come stay in my room. You can stay there while I leave. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to. Not when you're gone. I wouldn't, keep a stranger. He was like, no, come on over. And I was like, okay. So we hopped and pranced over there. Well, I did the hopping and prancing when he wasn't looking. But then we went into his room, which was down the hallway. And among the many things around his apartment, the one thing that stood out to me immediately was a motorcycle helmet. It was a Shoei, or a Shoei. We are not sure how to pronounce it. And I said, oh, you ride? He's like, yeah. I'm like, riders are so cool. Like, that explains why a stranger is letting me stay at his place. He was super hospitable. He basically said, I need to go out, run an errand, but you can stay here, help yourself to whatever you want. There's beverages in the fridge. Here's my computer with all my private information. Just go at it. Just hang around. And I was like, if I'm a good boy, I'll be sitting in the exact same spot that I am when you left. And true to my word, I was. He said he'd only be gone an hour. He came back less time than that, and then he goes, you saved me. And I'm like, what'd I do? And he said, I didn't want to go to this person's place. You were my excuse to come back early. And I was like, well, no problem, man. Next time you need help, I'll just lock myself out of my apartment. So we hung out in his apartment for a couple hours as this was nighttime. The office was closed and there was no one to come get my room open for me. During that time, somebody was going to come to the apartments and get my room open for me, but until then I just had to wait. So we talked and we had a really chill conversation. I like to think all the ice was destroyed because of the fact that we both had helmets. At any rate, it was a good 2 hours of just hanging out and relaxing and whatever. And eventually I got back in my room, but the moral of the story is I made a friend and she does not have pants. Don't you know it's 65 degrees? It is actually 65 degrees. I'm wearing my winter gloves because it's cold today for no good reason whatsoever. And I was excited. I thought, nice, I get to wear my gloves of old. So here I am behind this little person who doesn't know how to drive because it's his turn to go and he stopped. Or was that the other way around? No, it was his turn to go. It's fun though because it feels just like the fall. I'm wearing all my thick gear basically, and I feel all like tanked and armadilloed and strong. Like, come at me, bro. Come at me, cold. Woo! Fast bike of power and speed. Just begging to get me pulled over. That's crazy. I've seen Brother Brabus pop wheelies on this thing. I'm like, I've driven that thing. I know how powerful that is and old. To see you get that up on one wheel is a little scary for me, especially when I'm behind him. But apparently this bike is very capable. That's one reason I like it. It's also pretty comfortable. I only drove a 1000 one time. I only drove it up the street, but it was really comfortable. It was a Gixxer 1000. Pretty sure it was a 2007. Pretty darn sure. And that thing was really comfortable. I think it's because I'm so big or tall that, made that more comfortable. At any rate, this one's a 900, and so it's pretty comfortable. That smells funky. Is it my helmet? It smells of aged cheese. I've never sported that aroma. Man, it really looks like it's going to rain, and I really don't want to. It's also not supposed to, but I'm a little worried. I'd rather not get rained on, especially when I'm in someone else's bike. I can only think of like 2 or 3 times when it's been raining and I said, you know what? I want to go ride in the rain, and so I intentionally get out in the rain. Most times it's just because I happen to be out and then it rains. No one really wants to go out in the rain, but the moral of the story is this isn't my bike. It's not very safe to drive in the rain. And in case you're wondering, you can drive in the rain. I've seen people ask. It's not going to hurt your motorcycle just like it wouldn't hurt a car. It's just more dangerous because you got to balance and you can slip and all that science and physical stuff. I'm thinking about driving in the winter, this winter, and what that's going to be like. And so far the plan is to do the exact same thing I did last year. I have this thermal layer I can wear underneath, and I have like 2 or 3 layers on at a time, but I'm not sure yet. I'm thought about, and it's kind of early to think about. It is July still. I've been thinking about getting those handle mittens at the very least. I think that would help at least block a lot of the cold. In the cold, there's a few things that go as a cop there too. And by go, I mean things that you lose feeling in. Your fingers are like the first thing to go. And wearing hand mitts, things that like, block the wind in front of your fingers would probably be really helpful. The other thing that they have are electric hand mitts. They're things that wire up to your bike's battery and heat up your hands. And that sounds cool and all, but I guess there are very few people in the world who would need those. People who are outside in the cold every day, people who live in the cold. And that might work for me because I'll be driving like every other day probably in the winter. But I don't know. It's just far away. It's just something to think about. Those kind of things are out there. They also have a layer that you can wear that hooks up to the bike. So you can have a thermal layer like an electric blanket. And that seems like a little much. Yeah. No. Yeah, no. His face was hilarious. He was like giving this smug grin and nodding. And so I nodded back. And then he shook his head. And so I shook my head. I'd give him a spam card, but I'm not on my bike. And I don't have the cards. Oh man, guys, I can't wait until season 4. It's gonna be a really busy week next week, and I'll be able to talk more about what's going on during that week. Next week, when I record for Finally Friday. Oh, there's the cop. I think he was going after me. He just went on the road that I exited off of. I'm like, hee! I'm like a mouse who just turned a direction in a cartoon, and the cat's like, oh, where'd he go? It's kind of a fun day today. It's kind of like when you have that one random really nice day of weather in December, like 65. We had that once in December. Like, it's just like spring or summer now. Crazy. And so now we have a Christmas in July day. So today it's like 65 degrees. The high, I think, is 67. So it's just going to keep dropping at this point since it's 6:30 in the afternoon. How's that pizza, ma'am? Is it over encumbering you, seeing as how you can't use your hands to drive? I want to get another look at that. That was funny. I bet she put it down. Nope, she still got pizza. She's holding a plate in one hand and whatever else with the other. Funny stuff, that. That looks like I'm going to drive right into a rain cloud. That's a really disconcerting thought. You're just like, I'm heading towards doom. It's like driving towards the Eye of Sauron. I'm like, I don't want to go that way. It's like, white? Not white. The pink on the Jeep makes you think you're a woman. You are a woman. I know they're going to chew me out for saying woman incorrectly. I keep saying it wrong. It's supposed to be woman's. Oh, man. A first world problem challenge. I want to get Kung Fu Panda Express, but I don't think it's going to fit in my backpack with all the stuff I have already. So I could risk going there and ordering food that I can't take with me, which I guess is okay because I can just eat it there. All right, I'm going to try that. I'll do that. I'm gonna go to Kung Fu Panda Express. Okay, so I got my food. It barely fit. I was really proud. Then I realized, you know what? I don't think this is gonna stay in my backpack without leaking. But I don't care. I really want to just take it with me and not eat it now. So I'm gonna sit behind this old person, and I hope it's not leaking into my backpack, which it probably is. I don't have much further to go. I'm going to Brother Brabus' house to do some super bump that made me, I don't know, lose throttle or something. That was embarrassing. Couldn't see because I was behind an old lady. And I missed the stop sign because I wasn't paying attention. That was just a whole slew of embarrassing. It just sucked. Anyway, I'm going to Brother Brabus' house to work on Moto Monday Season 4 extra super secret stuff. And, yeah, so that's basically it. I quit. I'm going there, and I'll see you on Moto Monday. Bye!